I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us.
Certain Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
Right now in the sport, that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf.
Manny Pacquiao mocks Floyd Mayweather for chasing Terence Crawford, saying he feels bad for boxing fans because this isn't the kind of match the sport deserves. Pacquiao insists it will be dull and little more than a staged show. He reminds everyone that Floyd has been retired for years and hasn't taken part in a real fight for a long time, making the whole thing pointless.
The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion show.
Manny Pacquiao hasn't softened his stance toward Floyd Mayweather. He shared that he feels sympathy for the retired star because his focus seems tied almost entirely to money. According to Pacquiao, Mayweather's return to the ring is not about honor or the sport itself, but about squeezing income from exhibition bouts. He described a possible clash with Terence Crawford as an event driven purely by greed, not athletic pride. For Pacquiao, this shows an empty outlook on boxing, stripping away the meaning of rivalry and turning it into a business act where boxers enter like fashion models rather than fighters.
Now, in the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pretty with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believe God.
Yeah. I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell.
That Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson plan to fight in 2026 sent a jolt through the boxing community. Commentators quickly noted this contest isn't about two greats at their height, but rather an entertainment stunt set up for cash. The event is being marketed as a tune-up for Mayweather before he might meet Terence Crawford later that same year. Observers believe both fights are built on financial motives, with huge pay-per-view figures expected. Tyson still holds iconic standing, while Floyd keeps his global fame, ensuring the clash will capture worldwide media buzz despite its thin sporting value point.
Broadcast for Jake and Tyson, and some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not gonna poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules. Exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
You don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero, after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul, I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has always shown respect for Manny Pacquiao. Speaking about him, He highlighted that Manny's legacy stands unmatched in boxing history. The Filipino legend claimed championships in several weight classes, often taking on larger rivals and triumphing against expectations. Crawford said Manny's feats were not only historic, but also nearly impossible for anyone to repeat, since he achieved glory in a rare era by accepting risks other fighters would not dare.
Man, a generational, talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
Prospect of Terence Crawford meeting David Benavidez has become a major subject among fans. Benavidez is seen as one of the most dangerous names in the game today, with size, youth, and relentless offense in his favor. Supporters think such a bout would challenge Crawford like no opponent before. Despite all the buzz, no formal deal has been announced, keeping the talk as pure speculation. This debate reflects the craving among boxing enthusiasts for real. High-stakes contests that rise above exhibitions and celebrity-driven matches.
Shocked the world, not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majamov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford, and that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy.
Coach Greg Hackett spoke with great praise about Terence Crawford's brilliant win over Canelo Alvarez. He called Canelo the shark of the sport, a symbol of strength, who had ruled boxing with power and craft for years. In Hackett's opinion, Crawford not only faced Canelo, but took him apart, signaling a major shift at the top. Defeating the man once seen as unbeatable marks Crawford as the new predator in the ring, the fighter every rival must respect. Hackett's comments raise an important point about what's next. If Crawford could handle the hardest foe of his time, who remains that can push him? Fans now wonder if he'll keep fighting long enough to meet new threats or step away while still at his peak.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark, and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, yes, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that to me it don't make sense. But that's what
monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chill, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Your last shoes, get your money, man. Go ahead, get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up?
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you could get fucked up. I'm telling you. You don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get fucked up.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay. I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. Well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that. But he wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd. But Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think Sport of Boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver.
Yeah.
Manny,
Yeah, did.